Here we go. It's the Copyright Podcast.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another Copyright Podcast. To talk about that game that's just unfolded tonight, I'm Mick, joined as usual by Tim, and we've got a special guest on tonight. It's Albert from AlbertTV. I've been on his channel a couple of times, and I haven't managed to snare him on the channel yet, but I finally got him. So, and probably the best time to get him on.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Mick.
Yeah. Well, I'll come straight to you, Albert. What's your initial thoughts on that 3-0 defeat at home?
It's something we've got used to as Arsenal fans this season. We don't start games very well consistently. We go behind in games. We don't look like coming back. The team lineup every week, it seems to be not a lot of continuity, but particularly with the centre back pairings. Anyway, it baffled me. Yeah, I take into account we had 4 injuries today, or injury/illness, with players not playing. But I'm sorry, we get told we have these are international footballers playing. I don't care if we're playing Liverpool or a prime Barcelona. That performance today is unacceptable from Arsenal.
Yeah, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you think that was the right? Like you just touched on the lineup there. Do you think that was the right way to go in this game against Liverpool? Obviously, you had a lot of attacking players there. You had Pepe, Odegaard, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ceballos, who is a good player, but maybe not the right player to kind of stifle it. Obviously, you knew Liverpool were going to have most of the ball in that game. Obviously, off the back of those last two wins, and we've started to pick up a little bit of form. Were you surprised by the setup and the personnel picked?
You know what, boys? With Arsenal, man. We said this is our fan base for time with Arteta in charge. If you can honestly sit there as an Arsenal fan and know what team he's going to pick week in, week out, then you will also relate to Mystic Meg. because it just you never ever know what this guy's going to do. But
yeah,
that's why me personally, I never get too shocked or upset about the team lineups. It is what it is. People have been saying for time now. Oh, but it's all on Europa League. The league's been done for ages. But so the team lineup, I wasn't too kind of either or. The problem I have, Mick, and I forgot your name. Sorry, Brain. Tim. Yes. What annoys me with our lineups, if we're going to play the 4-2-3-1 formation, I don't know how many times I have to keep saying it. I'm not no football coach, so I haven't got no coaching licenses to show you guys, right? But Lacazette and Aubameyang cannot play in the same team in that formation. It unbalances the team, and it just doesn't work. So he started with both of them, even though Aubameyang's not had a good season at all. Actually, none of the forwards this season have been consistent. I've been on all their cases this season. I've been very consistent with that. So, I mean, you know what it is for me. I don't get too caught up so much in the formations and the tactics. It's just your own set of eyes that lie to you. And like I said, as professional footballers, the passing from Arsenal tonight was terrible. Liverpool were very good, though, in the sense of I kind of thought it would happen, guys, where the minute Odegaard got the ball, the second he got the ball, Mane was on him. Milner was on him. If it wasn't Milner, it was Milner and Fabinho. It's on him instantly. And if you cut off that supply, Liverpool's high pressing game, Arsenal's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've maybe lacked, isn't it, Tim? And not the last 3 games anyway, but obviously we've won the last 3 now. But before that, the intensity maybe in midfield and up top just wasn't quite there. And I think we've seen a return to that, which has been nice for us because there was a load of games where we were just second in terms of to the ball, like Albert said. Like you wanna see that fight, and if that fight's not there, that should be first and foremost. Everything after should be the quality should shine through, and if the fight isn't there, then you're not going to win any footy games. I'm afraid it's as simple as that. But it was good to see. Like Millie played well. I think everyone pretty much played well, and I think actually now I think about it towards the end, I think Martin, did Gary Neville say something like me and Martin could have played centre half tonight for Liverpool? But I
It did
thought
say
that was a bit cheeky. I thought because I thought Phillips and Kabak were really good, and
they were
if I
good.
was picking man of the match, they'd be in me top 5. To be honest, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I think the centre back partnership was really, really good. But my standout player for Liverpool was Fab. He was. Yeah. I mean, I know Arsenal have at times struggled playing out from the back, but they were just a victim today of a performance from that. I haven't seen Fabinho play like that in a long time, and he is the key to Liverpool's success in a lot of ways because he essentially locks another team in their half. Every time Arsenal looked to get it out and looked like they were making a breakaway with the ball, it was him every time, putting in a tackle, getting an interception, clearing a header, and then settling play down. So, Arsenal had, they didn't look great, but at the same time, as much as they didn't look great, I didn't think we allowed them a sniff at looking anywhere decent anyway. I think that, Arteta picked the wrong midfield to play against this Liverpool team. Against this Liverpool team, if you're going to have any chance of beating them, especially with Fab in the midfield and the impact that Thiago's now starting to have as well, you have to have a midfield that's has to have a work rate through the roof. With guys like Odegaard and Ceballos, those are guys who you look to pick a lock in a defense and stuff like that. Find that special pass. But not guys that are going to work their ass off and win balls back and be able to control the midfield, which is more the kind of midfielder that you'd be wanting to put on the pitch against a team like Liverpool. So, yeah, I was surprised that he was so attacking in his selection, Arteta. But at the same time, I think that at this point in the season, he just went, fuck it, I'm going to go for this because what's the point in not at the end of the day if we don't go for it against this Liverpool side. This is a Liverpool team that's been there to be had for a while now. We might catch them on an off day. A bunch of players coming back from international duty and all sorts. So let's have it. But it just didn't work out for him. And Liverpool have put in a performance that they've been trending towards over the last kind of couple of weeks before the international break. We've seen them playing better and better, and Fabinho on that midfield just makes all the difference.
Yeah, he was unbelievable for Fabinho, to be honest. I think it's just having him back in there, you don't realise what you have until it's gone. And then he was obviously so good in centre half that we were kind of like, oh, this could be. I think I even remember saying on a pod, like, could this be his new position? And how fucking wrong can it be? Like, he is just he is just so good in that midfield, sitting in front of the back four. His passing range is good. He's tall. He's gangly. He gets his foot in. I absolutely love the fella. But Albert, in terms of the first half, then, because obviously it was 0-0 at half time, was you happy at that point, considering the way that first half had gone?
Listen, I'd say it's a good thing the fans are not in the stadium because it'd be a very different atmosphere. Yeah. But I think we was very lucky to go in. I know Liverpool didn't create like out and out chances, but I thought Arsenal were very fortunate to go in a half-time 0-0. You made a good point about Fabinho. It's a different class. I mean, when we had Emery, it was no secret that he wanted Fabinho and we got Torreira. And unfortunately, that was the case. And I think the only thing that disappointed me with Arsenal was the fact that obviously you guys have had Kabak and Phillips kind of your two centre-backs over recent games and that. But I saw that stat that came up in terms of like over an 8-game period in the league, Liverpool quite low down in like a little mini Premier League table with like only taking them, I think it was 6 points, was it? So that was the kind of thing that disappointed with Arsenal not to try and capitalize on Trent, who hasn't been fantastic this season. You guys see him more than I do, so you probably a better opinion than I got. And obviously, like I said, with the two centre backs, to apply a bit more pressure. You're playing at home, but yeah, like I said, this has been a reoccurring story of Arsenal not starting games very, very well. So we was lucky to go in at halftime 0-0. I thought Mane looked sharp. He did look sharp. He gave Holding problems, I thought, all game, which I wasn't surprised about, if I'm being honest. And Firmino looked sharp as well. Yeah, Liverpool Arsenal were compact and were quite structured. But the problem is, when you do get the ball, you have to transition quickly and better. And we wasn't doing that.
Yeah,
1 pass, 2 passes. We're not talking about, like I said, I like to say, hitting the Hollywood Stevie G passes. I'm talking about A to B passes that we're not making. So we're losing the ball quickly when we're getting it back after being so compact and structured, where Liverpool couldn't break us down. So, like I said, we're lucky to go in at half time, 0-0, to be honest. And we lost Tierney as well to injury, so hopefully it's not too serious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was on the stroke of half time, wasn't it? So that was an unfortunate one because he has been playing well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
the season, and even for Scotland as well, he's been taking that good form for them as well. But Tim, before we move on, do you want to just explain what this is? Because I've seen you giggling. Do you want to just what the fuck does that say?
What does that mean? Yeah, tell me, Tim.
I'm not.
You can't repeat.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'd be good for the channel for me to say that out.
No, definitely don't say it, man.
Fucking hell, you can't even say it when we're doing explicit videos. Fucking hell, that must be filth. Your dad is a filthy, filthy man.
Oh, filthy God.
Anyway,
I'll try and work out what it is.
Yeah, Google Translate that quick. See what that's saying.
I'm gonna type it into our private.
Go ahead. As we're doing that, then Tim. 64 minutes. Well, actually, let's have a look. Hotter came on. So 61 minutes, Hotter came on. 3 minutes later, he gets a goal. That is just saying something. He comes on for Robbo. Millie goes left back. I'm thinking, I'm not sure about that one because Robbo, I mean, wasn't great. He's played a lot of footy for Scotland as well, but Hotter coming on, you just knew he was going to score, didn't you? Because he's just got that something about him where I think one of the commentators said like we've signed him at the perfect time. Like he's just the right age. He's got high ceiling. He's quick, direct. He's everything that a Liverpool forward three needs to be, and he's just a perfect example, isn't he? And he's just taking these goals just so easily, and it's so good to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting actually because I think actually, funny enough, Martin Tyler and Gary Neville touched on it. It's Mane and Firmino at the moment don't seem to have a hunger for goals that Jota and Salah have. They seem to, want to score. It'll kill them if they don't score in the game. These guys they're desperate. Every time they touch the ball, they're looking to get a shot off. They're looking to be in a dangerous position. They're attacking crosses. They're going at guys. Mane seems to have lost that a little bit this season, which is a little worrying. But at the same time, everyone goes through a slump in form, and he's still had guys on skates, and was holding up the ball well, and allowed play to go through him pretty well. But he's what Mane has been for a couple of seasons now, and that's what we've been missing. Is that Mane is probably at this point probably about 10 goals behind where he was last year in terms of in the Premier League in terms of production. So Jota's come in and kind of fill that gap, and that's exactly what Liverpool needed, because Firmino's never been a massive goal scorer, and I see him, and honestly after all four of them were playing, the way he fit into that midfield and the playmaking and from behind. I mean, he put Salah in with one hell of a ball, and he's got that quality to transition into a 10 now and really kind of feed and really get his assist numbers up, because he's just got that kind of quality, and he's class, and he's so good on the ball, and he's able to pick out almost any pass. He reminds me a lot of Thiago, but obviously a different build, and he's that kind of a technical player that's able to produce things that not every other player on the field can produce. So I see him taking on that role more and more as we move forward, and to see him pulled into that role instead of being pulled onto the bench and Klopp doing a straight swap, which was brilliant in terms of his man management, because obviously Robbo and Kabak have played internationally a couple of times this week, so being able to bring them off and rest their legs before the big game midweek, and still be able to get production out of Firmino moving into the midfield is key. And I think it's a really kind of special thing that if Liverpool are able to do that moving forward, this could be a completely different looking team, in the next few weeks, never mind next season.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I agree with all that. But in terms of, like we touched on Hotter's goal, the ball by Trent was it was inch perfect, wasn't it? Like it was like enough pace on it, right on the money, and it was like, go on then, put me in the back of the net. And I just wanted to get, while we've got you on the show, Albert, where do you stand on all this Trent stuff? I mean, they were talking about it a shitload in the commentary box, saying, "Oh, Trent needs to prove his worth." Left out the England squad. Where do you stand on Trent? What do you make of him? Do you think he is the best in the league in terms of English right backs, or does he go to the championships in the summer for you if you're picking the team?
Yeah, 100% he goes. Like, I was surprised he was even left out.
Yeah.
I mean, don't even get me started on Southgate, but that's another topic, man. You have to get me on the international show or something. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about the England setup. But yeah, I was surprised he got left out, boys. I'll be honest with you. Listen, he's not the only player to not played well and still get into the national team. I mean, that's just, to me, that was just a nonsense. But he's got competition. I mean, so you've got Walker, you've got Reece James. You could probably throw Aaron Wan-Bissaka into that as well. But I think personally, it's out of probably him and Walker. Very different. But then even Kyle Walker's prone to mistakes. Just because he plays for City, I watch enough football to see, this guy makes mistakes for England and Man City. I've seen it for about 3 years. So why is that any different? Or are they going to brush that under the carpet because it's City and it's Kyle Walker? So yeah, the Trent thing, and it's mad. It sort of goes from one spectrum to another. So they're waxing lyrical about the cross. They was drooling over it. There was going over it. Great. I would have been proud of that cross. I definitely would have finished that. Believe me, I was doing nothing to finish that kind of chance. But yeah, no, you know what? I think with modern day right backs, whether you guys agree or not, people bang on about the defending, but I don't think in football today that there's not many, I would say probably, other than Wan-Bissaka, who's the best defensive right back in the league, defensively, there's not many of them that are great. But what he offers going forward probably outweighs the defensive aspect of it, because that's always been there with Trent. It's nothing unusual, even with most modern day fullbacks in the league, mate. But yeah, me personally, I was surprised he got left out, and he played well today as a fan. He's always had that crossing ability, boys, like dead ball and unbelievable. So yeah, personally, I think it's out of him and Walker for the birth spot for the national team. Personally,
yeah, definitely. I mean, he proved again tonight, because even as got an assist and he got a clean sheet, and he played well even defensively up and against. Obviously, Aubameyang was really far back to even attempt to try and take him in one-on-one, but even in those little mini duels that he had with him, I thought he done really well, and he stood up to the task. But it was only 4 minutes later we got another goal, and Mo Salah. To be honest, I was in the kitchen making a drink, and I just heard Kate screaming, "Oh, they've scored!" And I was like, oh, "Fucking hell!" When you tell me earlier, but yeah, I legged it in. Salah had scored. Tim, what you thought then? Were you feeling a bit more safe once that one had gone in?
I hate to say it, but once the first one had got in, I thought that was pretty much game. I thought that had Arsenal shown a little bit more threat in the previous 60 minutes, I'd be a little bit more worried. But it looked like as soon as that first goal went in, Arsenal kind of dropped their heads and went, nah, this we're not getting this one back. We've not even had I don't think they had a shot up to that point. So at that point, I was like, oh, that's a goal that puts us really kind of comfortably in the driver's seat now. And I was expecting us to at least hold up for a 1-0. I wasn't really expecting us to concede past that point. But to see a different type of goal, a goal that we haven't seen Liverpool score, a long ball over the top that's been lacking since Van Dijk's been out. We've not played that ball consistently, and we've not really had much success with it. So to see Fab step up and put a peach of a ball in, and yeah, Mo gets a little bit lucky. He gets a couple of deflections off Gabriel, and manages to squeeze it between a tight gap between the keeper's legs. But it's a good goal, and it's a typical Mo Salah goal. He's able to hold off a defender and squeeze it into a tight gap. Once he kind of got up and was 1-on-1 with the keeper, I wasn't really expecting him to miss, to be honest. So. Yeah, I mean, once that goal goes in, you think, well, there's not a chance now that Arsenal come back. But I was fairly confident at that point anyway after the first one, just purely based on the way both sides were playing up to that point. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it was about 14 minutes later, Hotter got another one to kind of secure. And obviously, like you boys said, it was already game, set, and match before that. But I just want to go through some of these comments, because there's been some boss ones tonight. Chris Kelly's popped in here with this: Arsenal is still a product of Wenger's transfer policy, soft touches in midfield. Would you agree with that, Albert? I mean, I said before, about Ceballos and obviously Partey's a great midfielder and he is good in there. But I expected an El Neni tonight, to be honest, just to kind of be a bit more solid in there. Were you surprised by a Ceballos, even though he is good going forward creative wise? But I don't think it was his best game, was it, tonight for Ceballos? I think you're on mute, Albert.
That would help if I took myself off mute. It's not the first time, but no.
I was like, I think Albert's give up here, boys. I was going to.
Tim and Mick are just rubbing it in. No, but no, you can be like the guys in the chat, man. You know, Arsenal fan coming on. But no, you see with the Ceballos thing, right? When we got him on loan for the second time round, I wasn't happy, to be honest with you. I wasn't exactly breaking out the bunting because I just didn't. I think we kept him on just purely for numbers in the squad. I didn't see enough last season for us to give this guy another season at Arsenal when it's quite clear Mikel Arteta don't rate him. And the problem with our midfield is, who are the other options? You know, and you know what's going to happen now with the Arsenal fan base. You guys will see it on Twitter and all forms of social media, whatever, the thousands of Arsenal YouTube channels, right? Because Xhaka never played tonight, right? It's going to fit into the narrative now. But Xhaka was... If he'd have played tonight, it would have been the same thing. Because you guys, with your high press, you would have exposed his lack of mobility.
Yeah.
So it would have made no difference. So, yeah, you know, we've never had the Ceballos partnership. I don't think we've had it, actually, to be honest with you. And you saw tonight, to be honest, yes, Liverpool were a very good side. You pressed well. You could have had us... If it had created more chance in the first half, you probably could have had us out of sight. But yeah, Ceballos, mate, I don't think Arteta rates him personally. And I can probably see why he probably might not. He's a technically gifted footballer. He's a Spanish foot, you know, they're technically gifted anyway, but I can see why he probably hasn't made the cut at Real Madrid, to be totally honest with you. So yeah, it's kind of a case of Partey and who else? Our strength and depth isn't great. It's Xhaka, it's El Neni, Guendouzi's been banished, Torreira's out on loan, and then you probably have to scratch through the under-23s to find somebody. It's not great, mate.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I think he's still was that his 50th game tonight? Was it?
Yes.
Arteta? So
yeah.
It's for me. It's still early days to be judging a manager, especially Arsenal. You don't fly through managers like other clubs. You kind of try and keep a manager and see what happens, and then go from there. But I think there's still stuff to prove for Arteta. Obviously, he's still new to management. It's going back to the club that he was at. So I think he give him a couple of transfer windows, and he's obviously like I've heard Pep Guardiola speak about him. He's obviously tactically spot on, but maybe just hasn't got the personnel at the moment to kind of carry out what he needs I mean, he's probably quite like a perfectionist in terms of same as Guardiola is. And
yeah, Mick, that's the big issue, because the thing is, I hear that with the Pep thing, and obviously we know it's kind of his best mate kind of thing, but yeah, and I agree. Some people saying in the chat, we did miss Saka and ESR tonight. We missed their energy, we missed their, you know, getting into the final third, going beyond the strikers. But Arteta keeps picking these guys. Now you could argue, what's the other options? But then you do have options. It's just whether you're brave enough to put them in the team, because you're relying on the experienced players who have, you know, let down two managers before Arteta. It's a tricky one. So yeah, I'm going to say to you guys, if you've seen the Twitter on Arsenal fan base. So when you mention give a manager time, man, there's no there's no time in the vocabulary. But I get where you guys are coming from, because that's what I like to hear other fans of football clubs talk about Arsenal, because it's interesting to get you guys' perspective.
Well, the one thing I would say about Arsenal, and the early season kind of proved it, is that, you know, this doing what other teams do and consistently changing their manager, especially with the quality of player that they have at the moment, could be absolutely disastrous for the club. I think that, you know, they go through obviously the manager bounce, which every team goes through. We've just seen Chelsea recently go through it, and we talked about earlier on the show that obviously this is their first loss after Tuchel, so it's going to be interesting to see how they react. But it takes time for a manager to implement their system for them to actually start working, because the players are so used to playing one way under one guy, and then all of a sudden overnight it flips and the guy comes in and wants to do something completely different. So obviously Arteta really struggled to get that across to the side early in the season, and that's why you saw Arsenal drop to 15th, 16th, and were consistently for the first kind of 10, 12 games in that area. But obviously once he was able to get a more consistent squad out and kind of start implementing his way, and the players started getting used to it, Arsenal went on a bit of a run, didn't they, where they were starting to beat better teams and starting to put more numbers in the win column rather than the loss column. For me, it's Pep Guardiola could take over this team tonight. It wouldn't make a difference. They just don't have the quality to produce results or to produce performances to kind of win big games like this or win tough. For me, Arsenal's best game of the season was the 1-0 win at Man United, or the 3-0 against Chelsea. But it's just one of those.
It's been very few games this season we could pick as good performances. And the biggest problem, guys, I think I said this before, and I'm no Arsenal fan can disagree with me. We still got this. There's 6/7 players that started that Europa League final against Chelsea are still at this football club. That's a huge problem, massive problem. But I understand. I get it with my sort of football head that Arteta's come into a situation at Arsenal where we've not been a successful side for years. Some clubs would be happy with 4 FA Cups in 15, 16 years, but we're Arsenal Football Club. So if you're going to give a novice manager the big job of managing Arsenal as his first job, you can't expect miracles. So Arsenal fans are not going to wake up tomorrow and go, "Oh, we're going to go support Tottenham, or we're going to support another club." You're going to have to stick with it. So there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, man. A lot of bumps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to give them time to be able to, because obviously you have to implement that system and get the players used to it. And then during transfer markets, you then have to bring players in who are going to suit and thrive in that system, rather than just dealing with what you've got and thinking, "Oh, well, we can go and win a Premier League with what the previous manager, pulled in for his system." So it's a time thing, and that's often enough. And I think that's why Man United are giving Ollie so much time, to be honest, because they've fallen into that trap over the last 8 years since Alex Ferguson gone, since 2 years with the manager and then out, and then 2 years with the manager and then out, because they've got so much pressure to win. So my hope for Arsenal is that they actually give Arteta, or if it's not Arteta and they decide a different coach will come in and be better, that they actually give them a 3-4 year stretch to actually be able to build. Because I mean, if we Liverpool fans got on Klopp for his first season, you'd be like, look at what we would have wasted if we would have said Klopp out after 6 months. So it's interesting, but obviously it's just a matter of time, and obviously time isn't a thing in football, but it's the patient fans that end up being the happiest.
Yeah. The ironic thing is Arsenal won't sack him. The only way Arsenal would have sacked him, when we had that period of games after the international break, I think it was after we beat Man United and we went on an horrendous run for 2.5 months. We didn't win a game. The only way Arsenal would have got rid of him is if we was in the bottom 3. I think they will give him the time. At least this window, definitely. So no, they won't sack him, and that's the reason why he will get time.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I just want to touch on what Jake's just said there. Arsenal is so far away from what they used to be, and I've just been having a little look on up to there, and this was Liverpool's biggest ever margin of victory in a away top flight match against Arsenal, which does seem a bit mad to me, but that's the first time we've ever won by that many goals at an away game against Arsenal ever, which is, I mean, it's difficult because I don't know what that tells me, because you guys are in somewhat of a transition period where you're kind of trying to find your feet. Liverpool are kind of in it as well, because we've got 2 new centre halves who, for me, done really well again tonight. And it feeds into exactly what Mark said there. Kabak and Phillips, 4 games started, 4 wins, 4 clean sheets, solid. It's difficult to figure out what route Arsenal need to go on. I mean, if it was me, Arteta needs to stay. He needs backing and transfer market. He needs a lot of money put into it. Like we only started winning trophies when we got Van Dijk and Alisson, and that cost us the same amount as we sold Coutinho for, which is what 120 mil. So you need to get your hand in your pocket and back the fella. Otherwise, it's gonna be difficult for you, because it's not. Like I've always had a soft spot for Arsenal. I always want to see Arsenal do well. Like, grew up watching Thierry Henry just tear us one week in, week out, and as much as it pained me, I loved it at the same time, because it was just pure beautiful football. And it's a shame that the way it's going now, and I want to see Arsenal return to what they were, but there needs to be a bit, like with Arsene Wenger there for so long. Towards the end, obviously, it was kind of like, when's he going to leave? Like it was kind of like he's on borrowed time, but with like, you need to give someone a bit of fluidity in terms of going forward. Give someone some backing. Do you think that will be Arteta, Albert, going forward? Do you think that is the route that you need to take, or do you think this is kind of like a short-term thing and kind of see what happens in terms of maybe another manager becomes available?
I think, like I said, I think the problem with Arsenal is it's been for quite a long time, but even with the latter years of Wenger, the Arsenal board made no planning. There was no contingency to get anybody in. That's why he stayed on for longer than he should have stayed on, to be honest with you. We went and got an experienced manager in Emery, which that, to me, again, that came out of nowhere, because, you know, Arteta was the man that was going to get the job. Then last minute, we all know about the PowerPoint presentation from Emery, and he gets a job, like, which made no sense to me anyway. And then that didn't work. You know, we lose it. Losing that, messing up the top four, losing, drawing out the Crystal Palace and kind of games, and we lose the Europa League final. But with Arteta, I mean, with some of the Arsenal fan base, obviously not all of them, there's no grey area, guys. Like, we want him gone, or it's overly positive. There's no context or balance in the middle. I mean on Instagram, like, the Arsenal fan was saying that, even if Arteta won the Europa League, for example, I still want him gone. And I thought, hold on a minute, like, let's think about that logically. Why would you get rid of a manager who would deliver you your third ever trophy in Europe, and your first European trophy since 1994? I'm old enough to remember that, so that's a long time ago. You can't see the grey hair, but they're here. But but it's Mick, he will get time. That's the thing. He will get time, because Arsenal, again, in terms of contingency, won't find the right person to come in, or somebody else to come in. And the thing is, when you come to Arsenal, you're not going to get a Mourinho or an Allegri, because they want a war chest of money to spend to get the right players in. Arsenal are not going to do that. You know, we're being told for so many years we're a self-sustaining club. But if someone had said to me at the start of the season, because I said we wouldn't get top four, to be honest with you. That was before we bought Partey, Gabriel, and even after. But even I've been shocked how bad it's been this season. You know, we've won and lost the same amount of Premier League games. That's unheard of to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, it's going to be a lot of pain, man. A lot of pain, a lot of headache tablets and sleepless nights. It's going to be tough, man. All the eggs are in one basket for, and you be honest, as Arsenal's a football club, we've not got a very good record in Europe. It's all actually 2 European trophies in Arsenal's history. Terrible.
Yeah, especially for the teams you had back in the noughties and the 90s. Jesus Christ, you should have won a shitload more, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
But boys, I'm getting absolute grief here from a lot of people because I'm drinking a pink gin with a metal straw. Marcus Banks, save the turtles, lad. Save the turtles. You've got to do it. Got to do it. Right, let's have a look through all, because there's fucking hell. I can't even keep up with these comments. There've been that many.
Yeah, they're coming through, mate.
Coming thick and fast, yeah. Gamerborn, which is moving unit on Twitter. If you want to go and check out his stuff, he's got some Boss Liverpool merchandise over on there. We've never been good at Arsenal away, even when we've been at our strongest, and I think that kind of is the antithesis of what I just said before. Like, that this is our best ever win. And we're not even at our strongest. It does feel a bit mad. I don't know how to feel about that, because we were really good tonight, but Arsenal weren't anywhere near good enough in terms of every player just wasn't there tonight. But we were just showed that intensity, and it was nice to see, wasn't it, Tim? Like, Kabak and Phillips were great. Trent was good. Robbo, maybe okay. And then there's been a lot of comments about Alisson's tash, to be honest, which we haven't even touched on.
I did see that.
Which is another podcast altogether. You could do another 60 minutes on that, to be honest. But in terms of man for man, like you said, Fab was probably man of the match. Thiago was just dominating like he does. I didn't get time to get me Thiago shirt on. I've got me Van Dijk one on instead. But Millie was good. Mane was sharp, like Albert said. Firmino was sharp as well. Salah looked sharp, obviously grabbed the goal as well. So it's good signs going into Tuesday against Real Madrid that we're starting to pick up form at what is seemingly the perfect time to do so.
Yeah, and the good thing is it's team-wide form. It's not, as we saw earlier on in the season, it wasn't just Mo just carrying us to at some points, draws and even just bagging a couple of goals and a loss. But yeah, it is great to see this team kind of start to kind of motor along a little bit more smoothly than what we've seen. This is more the type of football that we've been used to. This is, that aggression in the midfield, that dominating the midfield that we've seen over the last few games is exactly the reason we've been successful and won a Champions League and a Premier League in the last 2 years. That's the key to this team. It's the biggest cog in that Klopp, kind of like that Klopp machine. So to see Fab back and to have that kind of like that aggression back in the midfield, the recycling of play, the stopping teams of getting out the half and all that kind of stuff. Because I hate to say it, but it's very similar to what we did to Wolves as well. Wolves really, really struggled to get the ball past the halfway line, and they looked dangerous a couple of times, but outside of that, they didn't really look much a threat. And a lot of that is because Fab steps into the midfield and just cuts attacks off in their own half. And we're able to then play it through our centre backs, and Kabak and Phillips have really, really grown together as a partnership, and their ball playing ability continues to surprise me. And at one point, Phillips put in a cross, and I was like,
oh yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on there. Please. I saw Phillips bombard, and I was like, I think I said shoot. To be honest, I was like, fucking have a go.
Yeah, and to be fair, if Hotta had continued his run, he might have got on the end of it as well. As a half decent ball. But these guys, they play with a tenacity and a fearlessness that you have to admire. These guys, they've stepped into a dire situation, and game by game, as they've been able to sit with each other as a partnership, they've grown, and they're starting to be more and more physical, and they're starting to learn how to play off each other. And one of them's dropping, and one of them's going for the ball, because one of the biggest problems they had earlier in the season with some balls over the top was that they're both such ball hungry kind of centre backs that they both fly in for a header and leave kind of Trent and Robbo in, with lacking some manpower behind. So they're starting to grow as a partnership. They're both still really, really obviously very, very young for central defenders. We as we know, we've seen central defenders play till their late 30s and still be super effective. So for a central defender partnership to be, is it 20 and 24 and have kept 4 straight clean sheets and continue to grow as individuals and as a partnership, it's really, really impressive. And as to have a backup spine of the team of like that is something that, I mean, me and Mick were talking before the previous show to have the problem of to pick your centre back partnership for next year, and with the Kanate rumours, these are the problems that Man City have, and the problems that Liverpool have been looking to have for a while. So that instead of being consistently good for 2-3 years, as we saw in the mid noughties with Torres, and then later on with Suarez, It's more of a 6 to 8 year span where, you know, we're contending for the league and the Champions League year in, year out. And that's something that, for me, looking at this team man for man, they could definitely do, especially when they're back to full health and you've got a Rolls Royce at the back, because I can't even imagine what either of these guys would look like next to Van Dijk. They'd be, you know, he just pulls guys to level up. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see how this Liverpool team kind of develops into next season and what Klopp's going to do, you know, with his starting 11.
Yeah, and I think Marcus there's spot on. Like, Kabak quality must sign this summer. And I mean, even if it's 18 million in this day and age, for someone like that who's obviously still really new, but I mean, I think his first couple of games, we were kind of quick to judge, weren't we? We were kind of like, oh, this guy on the turn, he looks slow, he's turning like a bus, turning like a fridge, he's a Harry Maguire, you know, just the usual shit you see on Twitter, and you're like, fuck off, just give the fella some time. He's a young kid, but he looked really composed tonight, was the word I'd use, composed, like on the ball, assurance, passing into feet, nice and sharp, everything that you want from a good centre half, and Phillips was the same. So we want to see more of that. But Albert, we're getting on to 40 minutes here, so we'll kind of wind down a little bit because I don't want to keep you all night, because we could probably be all night getting on to 90s chat and Thierry Henry and Paddy Vieira and all that shit. But well, in terms of Arsenal, I'm just having a look at the table. I mean, I won't read it out to you because it's
don't read it out.
Reading, but 9 points off top four is, I mean, stranger things have happened with 8 games left, but is that it for you in terms of that? I mean, it's going to be a big ask now, isn't it?
This is now, let me rephrase it. It's not arguments I've been having with Arsenal fans. I'll just leave them to it on social media. Like, you know what it is? Because this season's been a strange season generally with some of the results. I mean, I didn't see the earlier game with the Chelsea game. I couldn't believe what I heard when I heard the result. I thought I was in a time warp. But no, it's been an odd season. So, I think to Arsenal fans, the problem we've got is, although teams are above us are dropping points and not winning certain games, we're not good enough to capitalize. So it's counterproductive. We're giving ourselves false hope as fans, thinking that, if we win this game and that game, we're only 6 points behind. We're working out all these permutations, but we're not good enough to capitalize. That's the issue. I mean, like I said, I didn't think we'd get top 4 this season, but if someone had said to me we're on course for potentially our worst Premier League finish since the 94-95 season, which we finished 12th, I would never have believed that, whether it's an experienced manager or not. I would not have seen that coming at this stage of a season, to be so far out of contention for top 6, all of top 8, top 4, everything. It's been a difficult watch, man. But it's when you're used to seeing the performances you see with Arsenal, you get used to it. And I'm not saying that from a position that I'm happy, because I'm not. I don't want to see what I've been seeing for the last few years, and this season's been tough. And like people have been saying, all our eggs in the Europa League, I think we'll come up a bit short personally. But I would say because it's a cup competition, guys, you've always got a puncher's chance, and with a bit of luck, we could make the final. Who knows? It's possible. But if we do get through, we've got a very interesting potential semi-final opponent in Mr. Emery's team in Villarreal.
Oh, good evening. No, it's so you've got Slavia Prague, haven't you, on Thursday, and then you've got Sheffield United away. On paper, you should be winning that. I mean, and I know what you're saying, Albert, in terms of looking at all the permutations. Or if we win this one and then they lose and whatever. I mean, us as Liverpool fans, we've been doing that a lot lately with like, we just need Chelsea to lose to West Brom, thinking it'll never happen. Then it does, and then we're all shitting our pants, thinking we need to beat Arsenal away, thinking it probably won't happen because we'll probably slip up, and then it happens. It's just footy can change very quick, and I think if you start to put a bit of a run of form together, it can change in 2 or 3 games. So I'm hoping that does for you boys. But like Gamerborn just said there, Albert is a great guest. He tells it how it is. Make sure to get him on again. That is absolutely spot on. That's why I got him on, because he's an absolute
man.
But boys, we'll wrap it up there, because we could, like I said, we could chat all night about this, and it's getting on to 11:15 here. But thanks to Tim for jumping on. Albert, tell us a little bit about your channel and where we can see more of your talking sense on your YouTube channel.
Well, I try, mate. It's difficult with our fan base to talk sense, mate. I'll tell you that. No, Mick, thanks for the invite, man. I wanted to come on your channel. You're doing great bits on your channel, man. I do try and keep up with so much YouTube content. It's mad, but AlbertJTV, very easy to find on YouTube. Twitter handle at AUMO57. Don't ever think about it, people. Come and subscribe.
Well, I'll post that, and once we finished, I'll post that on my Twitter, and I'll post it on the Copite Twitter as well to get you some follows, because you're getting a lot of love in the comments here, Albert. To be fair, which is nice to see. But
it is.
It's nice, isn't it? But we'll leave it there, fellas. Thanks again to both of you for jumping on. We'll be back. When will we be back? Tuesday. I mean, I might not be back because I might not be here, so I might give that one a miss because I might be too drunk in a corner somewhere. But we'll see what happens. But if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you're not watching on Facebook or Twitter, just go over to YouTube a sec for us and subscribe. And we will get Albert back on very soon to have another little chat, maybe about some 90s footy or Premier League best 11s or something like that, because we seem to agree on that big pod we were on last time. So we will.
I'm still not happy. Look, I'm sorry. Look, them Man City boys that are piping up. Oh, Vincent Kompany's got to be in the head of Tony Adams. I'm like, nah, but they won in the end, anyways.
Yeah. It was, to be honest, it was the Man United fans just completely dismissing Gerrard. They were like, "What's Gerrard won?" And I was like, "Stop chatting your shit."
Me and Mick was on the same wavelength, mate. Straight away, Vieira and Gerrard. Straight away. Yeah.
Well, I was looking to you in the top corner, thinking Albert's thinking the exact same. These are all knobheads in this fucking chat. Yeah, they don't know what they're saying. But boys, we'll get out of here. Thanks again to Tim. Thanks again to Albert, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, man.